Hi, I'm Jessica Bonacore with Richie Sales, and here we are with Jaclyn Isaac of
Hi.
Doni Douglas.
Hello.
I love the studio. I'm so excited
Oh
to
my
be
gosh,
here.
thank you.
This is like a fun little adventure.
Welcome to my dirty little warehouse.
It's not dirty, it's very clean. So first of all, I have a question. The name Doni Douglas, there has to be a story. Is there a story?
I wish it was like cooler, but it's my dog's names.
Oh.
Actually, there's a good story behind this. So, very quickly, I was downtown decorators for a long time because I listened to a podcast and it was like, name your business exactly what you are and where you work. And I was a new designer, so I was terrified to call myself a designer. So I was a decorator and I worked in downtown Jersey City, like only. So it was like, that is who I am.
Oh, okay.
And then I was starting to work on bigger and bigger projects. And I had a terrible client who was very mean. And he was like, your name sucks. So we can't put on any marketing materials. So I was like, okay, listen, like we are working on bigger things. Let me go through this whole branding exercise. And I wanted it to be masculine, architecturally driven, and like no one to know like who it was or what was going on. So I was like, oh, I have two dogs, Doni Douglas.
So your two dogs is one's Doni and one's Douglas.
Yeah.
I see. That's a great story. What do you mean?
I mean, I wish it was just cooler than that, but they're my dogs.
I love that.
Thanks.
So you said so when did you start Downtown Decorators? Like how long have you been in interior design?
2017.
Okay.
I was like side hustling for a long time.
Okay.
I interned for a local interior designer, Toledo Geller.
Okay.
And I didn't really think it was a career. I just didn't really know anything about it. So I like sampled it. And then the pandemic hit. I was kind of like laid off. I went freelance with advertising. I was in corporate advertising for a long time. And then I went freelance and I was let go of a project. And my husband was like, you're working more on this than you are in advertising. Why don't you just give it a go? And so here we are.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like you've definitely evolved from that little.
Oh, yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you've evolved or kind of what helped you grow into what you are today.
Yeah. I started just dabbling in like small stuff. I had a really good relationship with a real estate broker in Jersey City and Hoboken. And I was just thrown into everything. And little by little, it was not just a living room or a dining room. It was, can you help us with the kitchen? Can you help us with the bathroom? Can you help us with our whole house? And COVID really, I would say, catapulted me into a different level because everyone now had a lot more money to spend on their houses, and we had like really thick whole home projects. Like it was a lot. So that really changed the trajectory for me. I think what had always, I don't want to say held me back, but what I was always really interested in was a physical location. I just didn't really want like a typical storefront because I didn't want to be like, having to move around candles and, talk to people at that point. So I was really looking for just a studio space, but then it really evolved once I started to get into vintage a lot more. I was buying a lot of stuff. I had like 6 dining tables at my house. And so it was kind of like I was either going to get a divorce or I was going to get a studio. So we found a warehouse space and took it over.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. That's a great. So how long have you been in the space?
Only a year.
Oh.
Yeah, July is going to be a year.
Okay.
This space looked very different.
Oh, I'm sure.
I really should post the before photos because it's like actually, I mean, the basement's still a little terrifying, but it was actually terrifying in here. It was bad. So
I think it's great though. You can receive stuff, and you're right. You have the space to put all of your vintage stuff. And
it's about like I would say 3,500, 4,000 square feet, which is like crazy. So yeah,
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Christorama. So you are a newer Christorama tastemaker as of, I think, the end of last year. Is that right? What do you think that Christorama really connected with you and your business or your work or your point of view that made that partnership really feel right?
I think we have become really well known for the mix of old and new. Like obviously we're here on a vintage sofa. We've got, some newer pieces, some older pieces. But Christy and I actually hit it off, who does, their marketing. She's also a fellow like Facebook marketplace hunter like me. So we connected there. And then just the executive leadership team, I had just a great conversation with them. I think they were a stop on the Design Influencers tour. So that's really where we started connecting. And then we just, we really hit it off in terms of, personalities. And I think Christy really enjoyed the fact that I was constantly looking for a cool mix of things. So that's probably the point of view that was interesting to them. But
did it happen? So you weren't, actively seeking, to be a tastemaker for brands or anything like that?
No. Yeah.
I love that. I think that that's the most I think nowadays there's a lot of people that want brand partnerships in whatever capacity, and I think it's very important that they wait to find something that matches very well. And I think that this does feel natural.
Yeah. We're working on a home in Hoboken,
Okay.
a spec townhome, or brownstone, I should say. It's beautiful. And we specified all Cristorama in the interior. So it is, it's a brand that we use a lot.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a natural fit.
Yeah.
I will say I'm totally down to work with more brands. But I wasn't necessarily seeking this out. It just really felt like supernatural and authentic.
I think that's important though, especially in evolving a business and making sure that you stay true to who you are and what you're looking for, and not just scaling in a way that doesn't make sense to your customers.
Yep.
So has being a Cristorama tastemaker over the last year-ish changed the way that you think about lighting within your projects?
That's a good question. I think that Cristorama has such a good blend of like stuff that feels a little bit more mainstream and kind of easier to sell into projects where there's not a specific design point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also have very particular collections that are for very specific clients. So it gives you a variety of things to be able to choose from.
Right.
I love the Murano collection. Like, I just love the colors, the smoke colorway, the amber colorway, the pink. I mean, I just think it's such a cool thing that they really dived into, and I would love to see like more of that from them. So anytime they have a new collection, I'm like searching for the Murano pieces. But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite from them.
Where does lighting fall into when you're designing a space? Where does that come into play in terms of like timeline or?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's the way we work is very process oriented. So it's done in phases. And for us, it's version 1 is always includes lighting. I oftentimes will start with lighting first.
I love that answer.
Yeah, because I think it's important to know, are you designing around a beautiful chandelier? Are you doing more like dimly lit vibes, table lamps only? Or is this a space that really is only going to be like commercially lit, like very, overhead lights and recessed lighting? And that I think really dictates the vibe. Lighting totally dictates the vibe.
I love that. Yeah. I hate the answer of when it comes in last, or when somebody calls me and the room is so designed already and I need to find that one chandelier for them that.
What's funny for me? It's the rug that comes in last, weirdly, which like.
Sorry for the rug rep. But,
a lot of people start with a rug. And I've never started there. I've always started with lighting or like a cool antique and vintage piece. Like, it's got to start there, but it's always either of the two.
I love that. Well, I also think, when a chandelier, like a fixture or a sconce, something that's not a table lamp, it's almost part of the construction, like of the physical bones of the room or the building. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, it should start first, and you should make sure that the lighting is appropriately, set for the space and whatever you're going to do in the environment.
When we work for, especially new construction homes, we do, for pretty much all of our projects, we do a floor plan and a layout. So that's first and foremost. So we pretty much know where the lighting is going to go. So I think it's important to know, especially in places like libraries or sunken living rooms or dining rooms, like it's got to start with the lighting. Yeah. It just needs to.
Well, and then you're not looking for one chandelier to light an entire, 10-foot space that is not going to happen.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So let's talk about, so we're in a warehouse. Okay.
Yeah.
And I see a loading dock. And then let's talk about this Nest Freight and where it came. So Nest Freight feels like a very different kind of extension of your business. Were you seeing some sort like a problem in the design process, or how did you come to realize that Nest there was a need for the market for Nest?
I think when you say receiving to any interior designer, they just get this like sinking feeling, because it's just a dirty part of our business in terms of like, it's chaotic and it's not fun, and the people you deal with generally aren't pleasant, and it's a requirement for us, right? Like, we're buying at volume and we need places to store things, and we're constantly purchasing, we're constantly dealing with deliveries. So receivers are a requirement for interior designers working at that level. For me, I had terrible experiences with our receivers. I had, really terrible experiences with just like the financials of it. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes there's no tech associated with receiving or logistics. Freight costs have gone through the roof. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like, I got bored, and I was like, why not? No, it was definitely a problem that I knew I could solve. I had a lot of resources immediately available to me, weirdly enough. Okay. It kind of fell into my lap. I have a very good friend who's in logistics, and I have a client who was ready to back something tech driven for me. So it was like, match made in heaven.
So you had the, I guess, the opportunity, the need, the frustration, and then you kind of just catapulted. And did timing seem like another thing that you have to jump into because it kind of fell into your lap, or was this like quietly in the background for a while?
It was definitely quietly in the background for a while. The client that I was working with that funded the tech, it was a couple years since we'd worked together, but we had stayed connected. And I had told him about this idea 2 years ago. And he kept saying to me, like, when you've got a business plan, Jack, like, come to me, we're ready to go. And then at one point I was at his restaurant and we were chatting and he was just like, what's going on? Like, you talked about this forever, get some pen to paper and let's like start working through this. Like, it sounds really like a great idea.
Yeah.
But I had worked in vintage and antiques and I was shipping my own stuff from Round Top, Texas. And I was just constantly figuring out the logistics of things. And so it was almost just like, we have the studio, we have the loading bay, we were receiving for friends, we were received for antiques. And it just felt like a natural extension of my business.
Right.
Whereas some people think it's like you're a designer, so a natural extension would be a lighting collection or a furniture collection. For me, I think my background in project management, I've always had this, a love for the business of design or the back end of it. So this for me personally is just a really exciting next chapter.
That is exciting.
Design. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about, for the people that don't know Nest, what it can do for other designers.
Yeah. So we're focused on being a logistics company for interior designers. You can negotiate your own freight rates now. We're developing a network of receiving warehouses that actually have tech associated. You'll get photos upon delivery. Things are actually open and inspected,
Nice.
Which is like ridiculous that I have to say that, but that's the problem. And then we're working on vetted white glove movers. So you have an option now instead of just the receiver doing the moving for you, which you're oftentimes just locked into so many things. You'll have an option for level of moving services for your clients and what you need. Yeah. Nice. And then on top of that, we're trying to build the community of Nest, almost like a buying group, I would say, for shipping. But, I've spoken to so many of my designer friends and this has been so much fun to like get back in touch with them. And, what they've told me is, they would love to have, a container coming from, if we're all shipping something from France, or we're really interested in the spring markets there, what if we had a Nest controlled container coming overseas and we could all fill that up? Or we're shopping Round Top, we have got a Nest truck just kind of, hanging out there. Like, could we all go in together? So it's almost, like I said, a buying group kind of, but for shipping, but just giving us a little bit more power in a space in our business where we felt really powerless. At least I did. So
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, thank you.
I definitely understand the need for it, and you're right, because designers are dealing with product all the time. And I never thought about, like, if they go overseas to the markets and they can't just, how much would it cost to bring, 2 pieces back, as opposed to if you all come together and.
Well, last year a container was $17,500. So that's how much of it costs for one designer to bring something back. And containers, like all these things, right? It's just, I think many times designers just don't even know where to go with those questions.
Right.
Where we know where to go for our reps, for you, for lighting and, certain brands. But like, who do you go to when you have an issue on shipping? And there's no collective, right? So for me, it was just, it's a no-brainer as an extension. It's a necessary evil. Yeah. So why not make it pleasant?
Yeah. I love it.
Pleasant and pretty.
I love it.
I tell her.
What would you tell Jaclyn, who started this business back in 2017? What would you tell her? Something that you've learned, or just.
Yeah, I would tell her to stop being so afraid, take more risks, go faster. Like, I think I spent a lot of time, especially as downtown decorators, with the feeling of imposter syndrome. Like, I didn't want to call myself a designer, and then I wasn't sure if I could handle multi-unit, and then I wasn't sure if I could do hospitality, and I felt like I had to constantly prove to myself that I could do something. And I wish I just went after it. Like, I wish I was just savagery, like, going after this business, because I think I would have gotten here a lot faster. We would have been even bigger before I had children. You have kids. It's tough to be 2 kids, now 2 businesses. Like, it's a lot. I'm happy with where we are, but I think it could have been even bigger had I just stopped feeling that way. So, yeah, do your thing faster.
Don't be afraid.
No.
The imposter syndrome is something that is very common in talking to all the designers and when you start your own business, because I feel like, if you started working for somebody else in another firm and, then when you start your own firm, it's natural. But I get it.
Yeah. I didn't work for anybody formally other than the internship that I had. So I've learned everything just by doing my own thing, but also like listening to as many podcasts as I can and like invest in yourself, like go to events and talk to your friends who are designers. I think there's this idea that we're all competition. And what I would say is, especially with Ness, the opportunity to visit all of my friends' offices and chat with them about, over coffee. We are all so different. Like what we enjoy, what we talk about, what makes us excited, what kind of processes we have. It's just so incredibly varied. And that's the coolest thing about this is you can be your true, authentic, creative self and not have to worry about like the person on the corner.
Yeah.
So, and that's very empowering.
Absolutely. I think it's huge. I think a lot of people, that's kind of what started these conversations for me was the designers do things differently 100%. You have your own taste and flair and processes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And sharing some of the things is not a bad thing. It just can only make everybody stronger and better.
Yes.
And so,
yeah. Thank you for doing this.
Oh my
this
God,
is really
of course.
fun.
Thank
I
you.
love having you guys here. I hope it was
now we got to go see the house with all the Christorama.
Yeah. Yes, we do. We definitely have to do that. I need to talk to them about, actually coming in and taking maybe some videos or doing something there because it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finishes are great.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.